Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever feel like you are failing at something important, like a tough class, and you start to think maybe you are just not good enough? Well, this new study explores whether a simple technique can help students reframe those tough learning moments into something more positive. So imagine you are in a tough introductory physics class. It is known for being challenging and for making students feel stressed. Sometimes when things get tough, like getting a bad grade or struggling with homework, some students might interpret this as a sign that they're just not cut out for physics. They might think, would a smart person really struggle this much? This can lead to anxiety, less confidence, and ultimately, a greater chance of dropping out of STEM fields. That is where this study comes in. The researchers wanted to see if a short mindfulness training could help students see their learning struggles differently. They had a hunch that mindfulness, which is often about paying attention to the present moment without judgment, could actually help people make more positive sense of difficult experiences. They predicted that if students could reframe their struggles in a more adaptive way, it would lead to them seeing these challenges as opportunities rather than threats, and this would boost their motivation to learn physics. Now, mindfulness can sound a bit mysterious. Some people describe it as just observing things without any judgment, like a passive observer. But other perspectives, even within ancient Buddhist traditions, suggest that mindfulness is also about gaining insight and understanding. It is about noticing things so you can learn from them. This study leans into that idea, suggesting that mindfulness isn't just about noticing discomfort, but about actively making meaning from it in a helpful way. They think that by internalizing this adaptive perspective, even for a short time, people can change how they view their challenges. The researchers designed a really short intervention. It was just 5 days with 20-minute audio lessons each day. This is much shorter than many other mindfulness programs. They wanted to see if this brief, focused training could make a difference. They ran 2 experiments. In experiment 1, they had about 150 students in introductory physics. Half of the students listened to guided mindfulness audio lessons for 5 days, and the other half listened to audiobooks as a control, before and after the training, and then again a couple of weeks and 3 months later. The students answered questions about how they interpreted difficult experiences they had in physics. And here is what they found. The students who did the mindfulness training reported more positive interpretations of their physics struggles compared to the audiobook group. This was pretty immediate, and importantly, these positive interpretations lasted for up to 3 months. Experiment 2 was a bit more rigorous. They used about 300 students and compared mindfulness training to an active relaxation training. This is important because it helps control for the idea that maybe just listening to something calming could have an effect. They had students keep daily diaries for 15 weekdays before, during, and after the training. They tracked their interpretations of negative emotions related to physics, how they appraised stress as a challenge or a threat, and their motivation to learn physics. The results from experiment 2 largely confirmed experiment 1. Students who did the mindfulness training reported more adaptive ways of thinking about their negative physics emotions compared to those who did relaxation training. This effect was even noticeable in the week after the training ended. Not only did mindfulness change their interpretations, but it also influenced how they viewed stress. Mindfulness students were more likely to see challenges as something to be overcome, rather than as threats. Interestingly, while mindfulness improved their interpretations and stress appraisals, it didn't directly boost their overall motivation to learn physics in a statistically significant way on its own. This might seem a bit surprising, but it leads to a more nuanced understanding of how things work. So, how did this all fit together? They tested a model that suggested that mindfulness leads to better interpretations of difficult emotions, which then leads to seeing challenges more positively. And that in turn is linked to greater physics motivation, and their analysis supported this. While mindfulness didn't magically make everyone love physics more directly, it did improve their meaning making. And this improved meaning making was linked to greater challenge type appraisals, and importantly was indirectly associated with increased physics motivation. What does all of this mean? It suggests that mindfulness, even a very brief form of it, can be a powerful tool for changing how we make sense of our struggles, especially in demanding academic environments like introductory physics. It is not just about calming down, it is about changing our perspective. By learning to observe our difficult thoughts and emotions without getting carried away by them, we can begin to see them as normal temporary parts of the learning process, rather than as proof of our inadequacy. The researchers emphasize that this isn't just about building attention skills. It is about internalizing an adaptive worldview. This worldview helps students understand that feeling doubt or frustration is a common part of learning, not a sign of failure. This shift in interpretation can be quite profound and long-lasting. Even with just a short training, These positive changes in how students think about their struggles persisted for months. Now, like all research, this study has its limits. They recruited students who were already feeling stressed, so we don't know if it would have the same effect on students who aren't feeling as threatened. Also, they studied individual students, so we can't say for sure how it would work in a whole classroom setting. But the findings are really promising. This research opens up exciting possibilities. It highlights that a key benefit of mindfulness might be its ability to help us reframe our experiences. This means that interventions don't necessarily need to be long and intensive. Short, targeted practices that focus on meaning making could be very effective. It really points to the power of our interpretations. If we can learn to interpret our struggles more adaptively, we can build resilience and find more motivation to keep going, even when things get tough. It is a reminder that how we think about our challenges can be just as important as the challenges themselves.